Hi, I'm Maren. Welcome back to my channel, Maren Makes It. Today I just wanted to finish up where we started with my last Trusted House Sitters video, answering my most frequently asked questions about Trusted House Sitters, including what's the best part and what's the worst part about doing this. So without wasting more time, let's get into it. The next question is, what is the best part about house sitting and house hacking this way? Probably the fact that I don't have to be committed to a lease. I get to try out all different neighborhoods around Colorado without paying rent, without paying utilities. I haven't bought toilet paper in 6 months. I don't pay for Wi-Fi. I get to try out a lot of different places without being locked in by a legally binding document that forces me to pay a lot of money every month, especially as rents have gotten increasingly more expensive. There's definitely a lot of benefit and freedom in that. So yeah, I would probably say that that's the best part. I mean, I like being around animals too. And I think if you're gonna live alone, it really is nice to have an animal in the house with you. The next question is, what is the worst part about house sitting? The worst part is when I'm about to leave a house sit, the stress that is the last few days there, which is largely due to the pressure I feel to clean these people's houses perfectly, because they're coming back from vacation. They don't want to come home to a mess. But like, I'm not a professional cleaning person and I still have to keep my regular life stuff going during these days. Sometimes I have work, sometimes I have work the next day, sometimes I have a lot of phone calls, sometimes I'm working from home, sometimes I'm doing more in-person stuff during this time. Having to keep my life going while having to deep clean somebody else's house, and the pressure that comes with that, and the fear of getting a bad review on Trusted House Sitters, honestly, is probably the worst part about house sitting. Those days are just days where I know that I'm not going to be eating very healthy, I'm not going to be sleeping a lot, I'm not going to be exercising, I'm not really going to be taking care of myself. It's like everything else goes out the window because all of my spare attention that's not spent on whatever work stuff I need to do basically gets funneled into cleaning. And I will clean until I am so tired, and then I will also have to pack up my car on top of that. Even if you did a perfect job of the house sit the entire few weeks, let's say that you were there, nothing went wrong, you did a great job with the pet, if the person comes home and their house is messy and they complain, that can cost you a good review on Trusted House Sitters. And that is an enormous amount of pressure, even though, you know, cleaning isn't exactly part of the job responsibilities, but obviously you do still, you know, want to leave the place clean. It's almost sort of like an unspoken part of the job responsibilities. Question number 9 is going to be, what type of people put their house on Trusted House Sitters? Lots of people. I have had a pretty big range in terms of sort of situations of people who have put their house on there. So I have house sat for young, single, working from home type millennials who then, you know, wanted to go work somewhere else for a while, whether they went to go stay with family and they just took their remote work with them, or they actually also took a house sit somewhere and they just were like, I need a change of scenery, I'll take my job with me. I've had people like that. I have had families with young children who were visiting relatives. I have had retired people who are just exploring the world. I've had people who are going to their second home, so they maybe have multiple homes and they don't necessarily want to be bringing their pets back and forth every time they travel to their other homes. Many of the people that I sit for are going to either see family or going to Europe or somewhere foreign or abroad, because they are people who are gone for more time. So it kind of makes sense that those people would either be traveling further or sort of have a more permanent type situation in the other place that they're going to, because that does allow them to be away for a longer period of time, obviously. Question 10 is, what type of questions do I ask the house sitting people before they leave on their trip? Obviously, they're going to give you already a ton of information about their pet, the emergency contacts, all this kind of stuff. Trusted House Sitters actually makes them fill out something called the welcome guide. So it's kind of like on Airbnb when you arrive, it says like Wi-Fi password, emergency information, where's the key, like all of this type of stuff will be written in there. However, there are usually some questions that I have kind of figured out that I benefit from asking up front that will either make a possible problem situation a lot easier, or things that the people kind of like assume that it's obvious because this is their house and like to them it's obvious, but it's not necessarily obvious to someone coming in from the outside. So I'm just looking down at my laptop here. So the first question is, where's the electrical box where all those switches are in? So if a circuit breaks, I think that's what that's called, or a fuse breaks or whatever, you can go out there and switch it back on. So especially when people are traveling abroad and there's time difference, let's say a fuse breaks and now suddenly you don't have power in the house and it's just, you know, a matter of you having to do a switch somewhere, but you don't know where that switch is, and now you're not going to hear back from them for like another 6 hours because they're asleep. Kind of a dumb situation to be in, let's be honest. So a really good question to ask right off the bat is, where is the electrical box? The second question I always ask are, what are their expectations for daily communication? Look, people are leaving for a long time. They miss their pets. Obviously, they want communication. They don't just want a stranger to be in their house not knowing what's going on. But we do want to be on the same page about that because people do have really different expectations here. So some people were okay with me checking in with them like more on a weekly basis. There are other people who wanted a daily photo. I realized I am not willing to give you an hour by hour update about your pet. I'm not somebody who has the time or the energy to just be like, your pet went on a 10-minute walk with me and they went to the bathroom 3 times. Like, I don't have the energy to do those kind of updates. And if you expect that much information about what's going on here, then I'm probably just not the pet sitter for you. So I think it's a totally fair question for me to ask this up front. Also, just setting that expectation keeps you both happy because they know what to expect of you and you know what they want from you. So just having those expectations met on both sides keeps everybody happy. The third question that I always ask are there any security systems or monitoring systems in the house that I should be aware of? So I had one house once where a water monitor went off. It was like something beeping under the sink. It sounded like a fire alarm, but it was under the sink somewhere. And it took me forever to figure out what was going on because I had never realized that people have water monitors that you can install under the sink. And I kept thinking it's a smoke alarm somewhere. So I just like to ask, what are the security systems in the house just in case something like this happens, because it's really annoying for you. And also these kind of high-pitched beeping sounds are quite annoying for pets too. I mean, their hearing is like way better than ours, so I can't even imagine if I'm annoyed by that beeping, how annoyed they are. But just generally speaking, it's good to be aware of sort of the security systems that are in place at this house. The next question I ask is, take me through a day in the life of your pet. So I don't really care what their day in the life is for them as humans, but I want to hear, what is a typical day in the life for your pet, especially for dogs. This is really important. I think it really helps them with the transition of like, oh, my owners are gone and now I'm like with this random person that I just met basically. I think it helps for them to keep their routine. What time do they typically eat? If they eat twice a day, is it like a 7 and 7? Is it 9 and 9? What is kind of the typical spacing for their meals? Do they go for a walk? Like if the dog normally walks in the morning, I'll try to walk with them in the morning instead of like me just suddenly trying to just change everything up on them. The last question that I'm always going to ask the pet owners, I'm talking fast now because my phone just said it's out of storage and I just had to delete some apps just to be able to film this at all. Ugh, I'm so sick of the constant running out of storage. Anyways, the last question I'll ask is, does your pet have any weird quirks that I should be aware of? So for example, one of the dogs I took care of was a rescue dog and she was very scared of water. If I took a water bowl and water bottle on a walk with her, because it was really hot at the time that I was house sitting for her, she would not drink from it. She would avoid sprinklers like the plague. The first time it just really confused me because I wasn't really sure. I've never met a dog who is so avoidant of water, but you know, all animals, just like people, we have our quirks, we have our traumas. And so for me, it was really helpful to know some of this dog's quirks ahead of time. She had a couple other ones. For example, she always would go through doors backwards, which is really interesting, which I've also never seen from a dog. So if I wasn't aware of those quirks ahead of time, it would have really concerned me. So I think this is a really fair question to ask ahead of time as well. It really helps to ask these questions up front because, you know, when these people are on vacation, first of all, it's harder to reach them. It's a lot harder to ask these questions over text. And third of all, like, they're on vacation, they don't want to be bothered. The more you ask up front, the less bothering of them on vacation you have to do. Question number 11 is, do I ever get attached to the pets? Yes, some of the pets more than others. There's rarely been a time where I'm like, oh, I'm really happy to leave this pet, but I definitely do sometimes get attached. Probably I would say the biggest factor for getting attached for me is just how long I was there. So my longest house sit was just shy of 6 weeks, and I think that's the most attached I ever was to any pet that I was sitting for. Some of the other house sits, I just really wasn't even there long enough to get attached, to really build a relationship with that animal, but I can definitely say with the longer ones, I did start to get attached, and those animals definitely remembered me if they saw me again. There was a couple times I forgot stuff at people's houses and I had to go back, or mail accidentally got sent there for me and I had to go back, and it was very clear that the pets remembered me when they saw me again, and it was really cute. I really felt like we did have a bond in those moments. So yes, sometimes I do get attached. Question number 12. This is the most controversial question. That's why I saved it for last. If you've made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up. Before I forget to ask you, subscribe to the channel to make sure you see future videos of mine. And without further ado, question number 12. Question number 12 is, do you get paid? And the answer, I'm just gonna leave it at a short, sweet no. I feel like I could make a whole nother video about this. It's not something that's like a dirty secret or anything. Like, it's right on their website. Their motto, Trusted House Sitters, is make memories, not money. That's the way they market it to pet sitters. Whatever you think of that, I'm very curious to know. You can let me know in the comments down below. I have a lot of thoughts on this that have sort of accumulated over time. Also, some of the questions and comments that you guys have asked me have really helped me dig into this topic a little bit deeper. I kind of want to make a whole nother video on it, but I'm not sure if I quite have all my thoughts formulated yet. Anyway, the short answer is no, you don't. You're basically trading your time taking care of the pet for being able to live there for free. Whether or not you think that's worth it, that's obviously gonna be a personal choice for you. But in no way is it like a secret that the site doesn't pay you money. You pay a sign-up fee. The house owners and pet owners pay a fee for them to sign up, and after that, it's basically an exchange. Yeah, there's a lot. Let me just say there's a lot, and I really should make this video at this point because I have about 8 pages of notes on this topic already. Anyways, I just want to thank you so much for watching. Bye, YouTube.